Welcome to the Skin Deep Show here on Sirius XM Radio, Channel 141, HUR Voices. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Sharon Morton, and I am here. Today, we're going to have the amazing Dr. Adebola Ajao. She's an epidemiologist, an author, speaker, and my new Black Door Society sister. So happy. And she's also the founder of Empowering Initiatives LLC. It's an organization with the mission to equip professional women with the skills and tools to find their passion, walk in their purpose, and stand in their power. Dr. Ajayo is the author of Empowered Woman and co-author of The Habits Code, Grit and Grace, Women Redefining Leadership, as well as the book Step into Leadership Greatness, Volume 3. And as an epidemiologist, Dr. Ajayo, I'm going to call her Dr. Adebola, has dedicated over 2 decades to protecting public health and advancing women's health through drug safety, research, and policy. So, folks, as I always say, we're going to be doing more than just scratching the surface. Here on Skin Deep, we're talking all about grit, grace, and leadership. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Skin Deep. Before the break, I was telling you that I am here with the brilliant Dr. Adebola Ajao, who is an epidemiologist as well as an author, speaker, and CEO of Empowering Initiatives LLC. Thank you for joining me, Dr. Adebola.
Thank you, Sharon. So nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So let's talk a little bit about your career and how it has spanned public health, epidemiology, professional and leadership coaching. So much. You've done amazing things. First, please tell my listeners what is an epidemiologist, and then take us back to the defining moment when you realized your calling was not only public health, but also to empower professional women, which led to the founding of your organization, Empowering Initiatives LLC.
Thank you, Sharon. So an epidemiologist are those scientists that tries to understand disease distribution, risk factors. So remember during COVID,
Yeah,
epidemiologists got really famous because all
yeah.
of a sudden epidemiologists were on CNN talking about where's COVID popping up, who's getting it. So it's the places, the people, and when is it happening? So it's the season. So we study everything risk factors for diseases, chronic diseases or infectious diseases. So that's
And
what an
it looks like you're going to be busy again, right? Because they're talking about all of these other kinds of diseases and viruses and everything that's out here, and that we may have another epidemic. What do you say to that, Dr. Adebola?
Well, there's always something, so we have to be prepared. Preparation is key. I think understanding, what are the risk factors for these diseases is important. Who's getting it, and how can you prepare yourself? How can you make sure that you're healthy enough that you're not at risk for getting whatever is coming out? Of course, it's flu season that just passing, and so obviously school kids, right, bringing germs back from school. That's important, and just understanding how you need to protect yourself and be prepared. Get your vaccines, right, for those flu season, for COVID, for whatever else is coming. However, you need to keep yourself healthy. Very important.
We're going to do a whole nother show on that. Okay, Dr. Adebola, we're going to have you back on the show to talk about that. But right now we're going to talk about how you empower women, and that led you to starting your organization, Empowering Initiatives. What made you decide to do that, to start that organization in addition to what you were already doing as an epidemiologist?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So I'm going to take you way back to my roots. And I was born and raised in Nigeria and came to the US when I was 17 and came here for college and graduate school. And really, my path was very much defined. I was born into a family of educators. So my father was a professor, my mom was a principal. And so education was everything we did. And so you were told to go to school and go as far as you can go. And that's what I did. But I did get to a point in my professional career where I felt stuck and stagnant. And as a Black female scientist in a huge organizations, it was very easy for me to feel unseen and unheard. And I had to go within to really identify where I am. I had to discover myself, rediscover my gifts, my uniqueness, my passion. What is it that I enjoy doing? What is my purpose? And it was in that navigating all of that that I really founded Empower Initiatives. And first of all, I wrote my book, because in that process, in that personal development journey, I cataloged everything that I learned in terms of mindset and consistent action into a book. And then I founded my organization, Empower Initiatives, because I do realize there are a lot of women like me who feel unheard, especially in a large organization, and really seeking mentors and seeking sponsors, and not able to find, because I really was not able to find those professional Black women in my scientific space that I needed to help me navigate my career and my career growth. So I wanted to be that mentor to other women, because I know there's going to be a lot of women like me who are coming behind me, who are also going to be looking up. And I don't want a situation where they don't find anyone.
Yeah.
That was the situation I found myself.
That was a good reason to start your business. But as we know, as entrepreneurs, both of us are, every entrepreneur faces obstacles and challenges. It's really, it's a tough space to be in, to be, for me, a full-time entrepreneur. Share a time when you encountered a major setback in building empowering initiatives.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, as you noted, entrepreneurship is different from being a professional, right? Because as
Yeah.
professional, our work is kind of defined. We kind of go in, we do what we need to do, and we go home. As
Right.
entrepreneurs, you have to create your own product. You have to create your own space. You have to find your own clients. You have to navigate all those challenges. And so for me, it was when I wrote my book, and all of a sudden I realized I have to sell them. It's like,
Right.
oh, how do I have to sell my books. You didn't tell me that when I said I wanted to become an author. I just thought I was going to write a book. So what now were you going to do with it? And I have to sell those books. And so that was interesting. That was the beginning of my entrepreneurship journey. But fast forward, when I started my organization, I think one of the things that I do is I do an annual event where I bring professional women together, and we usually find a topic, and I find speakers. We come around, we network, and we support each other. And I think one of my biggest challenge in entrepreneurship is really those annual events, because not only do you have to invest in those events, you have to plan them, you have to promote them, you have to execute them, and you hope people show up, right? You hope people show up. And so it's a different kind of mindset and attitude to be able to believe in yourself and to know that you need to start from where you are and build up, because entrepreneurship, just like everything else, is a journey, right? You start from where you are and you keep building up over time. Nothing happens overnight. And so be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and understand that you got to build. And Rome wasn't built in a day.
Right.
So for me, really, and I still struggle with that. Like, I still do those events. Every time I'm going to put one together, I still, you still have those fear of like, is it all going to come together?
Right. Yes. No matter how long you've been doing it, you always wonder if it's going to come together, if the people are going to show up, if everything's going to run smoothly, and almost always there's going to be some hiccups. That's just part of life. And so you just keep it moving. And the other thing too is, like I tell my listeners all the time, it's really important to establish partnerships and build collaborations and work with other women who are doing the same things, because when you get together and you pull your resources together and you bring in partners and they bring in money and sponsors, it makes it so much easier, right? Because it definitely takes a village when it comes to just life, but especially when you are trying to build a business. Yeah, I preach that all the time. And you'll hear it a lot now that you're a member of Black Door Society. And you'll see it a lot too, the partnerships and the collabs. It's really helped put us on the map and really has helped us to grow. But let's talk about your book. In your book, Empowered Woman, you outline 5 growth principles. Tell us what they are and how you use these principles and translate them from theory to practicality and transformative steps for the women you mentor.
The
Yeah.
5 growth principles are really, they're really about mindset and taking action. That's how I break it up. It's about mindset and taking action. And so the 2 principles under my mindset shift is, thinking big about whatever your goals are and facing your
Mhm.
fears. As entrepreneur, you know all about facing your fears, because that's every single goal that you're trying to get comes with its own set of fears. So the
Yes.
first set of principles about mindset shift is thinking big and facing your fears. And really, for that, it's, understanding, having a vision and aligning that with having a vision, having a mission and having a purpose, your goals, and then breaking those into plans.
Yeah.
So once you understand who you are and you understand where you're going, then you have to exercise your mind to achieve those goals by
Yeah.
thinking big and really facing the fears that come along the way. And then the other part of the principles is really about taking action in finding the knowledge that you need, and then you have to find the support system. We just talked about collaboration. Nobody can do anything
Yeah.
alone. And that's why I'm so appreciative of my new sisterhood, because I know,
Yeah.
that's what I was looking for. And now that's what I find. And I'm super excited to be among this really accomplished women where we can support each other, we can build together, and
Yes.
we can lift as we climb together. So finding that supportive network, I think it's really important, and that's one of the principles. And then taking that consistent small steps, right? Because like everything else, like I said, everything else is a journey. Nothing is built in a day. It's all about consistency. It's all about taking those steps on a daily to achieve those goals. So those are the
Yeah.
5 principles: thinking big, facing your fears, finding knowledge, finding a supportive community, and taking consistent action towards your goals.
So we're going to talk some more about that in terms of your mentorship, how you mentor women on those principles. But before we go to break, let everybody know how they can get in touch with you, Dr. Adebola, your website, your social media handles. We have about 45 seconds before we go to break.
All right. You can reach me on Dr. Adebola Ajao on Instagram. My website is www.empowereinitiatives.net. And then you can reach me by email, of course, empowereinitiativesmd@gmail.com.
Empowering Initiatives MD@gmail.com. That's your
Yes,
email, right?
yes.
Okay, great. So, folks, we have to take a break. Please don't touch that dial. We will be right back after these messages here on Skin Deep. And we're back here on Skin Deep with my guest, Dr. Adebola Ajao. She's also my new Black Door Society sister. I'm super excited to have her in our organization. Dr. Adebola, let's pick up where we left off. You were talking about the 5 principles in your book. No, not in your, yeah, in your book. In your book. Tell us the name of the book. Is it Empowered Woman, where you outline those 5 growth principles, and then tell us how you use those principles to mentor the women who you coach.
So the book is Empowered Woman: 5 Principles for Living Your Best Life and Fulfilling Your Potential.
Hmm.
And the
And
principles in the book.
how do you use those how to use those principles when you are mentoring or coaching professional women?
Yeah, so I get women to really discover who they are, understanding our goals by discovering who we are, and then understanding how we can package our gift to meet our goals. So once we understand where we're going, right? What is my purpose? What is my mission? Where am I going? What is my end goal? Then we start to tackle what are the steps along the way to get to those goals, and break those goals down into small steps. And as we tackle each of those small steps, that's where the mindset comes in, because there's going to be challenge along the way. What are the tools that we're going to use to tackle our mindset? For me, I use affirmations and help women use affirmations. Another thing that I use is gratitude. I find that gratitude is so transformative, because when we appreciate what we have, it really allows us to see the world in a different way, in a different space. And so constantly believing in ourselves, being comfortable with being uncomfortable, really understanding that, everything we build is a journey, and breaking every path down and understanding that it's true perseverance that we build resilience, and really taking those steps.
So, I have always believed in having a mentor or two or even three. I actually have about three mentors, and that it doesn't matter how old I am or how old I get, I still rely on having a mentor. What should a woman look for when seeking the right mentor?
Yeah, I think it's important to have people with the same mindset. So
Mm-hmm.
people that are willing to invest in your growth, people that are really want to see you grow,
Yeah.
right? I think it's important that you have people who are willing to be supportive of your journey, and people that have a proven track record of what they've done, right? Because you can't learn from somebody that has not walked the path.
Right.
So it's important that you seek people that have really what you're trying to do. But in my journey, I'm defining mentorship differently. Because I
Oh,
used to think it's one person someone that I need to meet with regularly and understand. But in my journey, I've understood that anybody can be a mentor to me,
yeah.
and it doesn't matter. And I take a piece that I need from everyone. So with you, Sharon, when I get to know you more, it might just be one thing that I realize I could learn from you.
Right.
And with someone else, it could be something else I could learn from them. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a long-term relationship, right? It could be short-term. What can I gain from my
Yeah.
support system?
Right.
And
Yeah.
if we define it a little bit differently like that, it takes the pressure off of it. Yeah.
It does, and it takes the pressure of you
It
feeling
takes the
like you
pressure off of, yeah.
yeah, like you it takes the pressure off of you feeling like you have to do these things to have a mentor. But you're right, a
Mhm.
mentor can be anyone, right? I mean, like you said, once we get to know each other better, we could mentor each other. You just never know. It depends on what it is that each person can help with. Um, I also want to cover self-care. That's a really important part of your book. I have always believed in self-care. I take naps. I go to bed early. I get my massages and my facials and my stretches. I like to go out and dance. I mean, life is hard enough, right? And being an entrepreneur is super hard. So I like to, I work hard, but I certainly play hard. And self-care is so important. How do you manage to incorporate self-care in your busy schedule? We're all so busy. I think you're still raising kids, right, Dr. Adebola?
I am. I have three of them. Yes, still school age. Still
Right.
school age.
Girl, my kids are grown and, I love them dearly. I loved them when they were children, but I have to be honest, I am happy they are grown, right? Because it's
Mhm.
now my turn. So, how do you incorporate self-care in your busy schedule, being a mom, being a wife, being a business owner, being a professional? You're an epidemiologist. What do you do, and why do you believe self-care is so crucial?
I mean, I think self-care is deeply personal. And I believe self-care is different at different stages of life. Like you
Yes.
said, where you are in your stage of life, you can afford to go get a massage. Sometimes, Sharon, I don't even have time to go get a massage. Sometimes I schedule it, but I
I
have to cancel
know.
it because soccer game
I've
or
been there.
somebody.
Been
So,
there,
so
done
for
that.
me,
Been there, done that.
self-care is sometimes solitude. Yeah, sometimes for me, self-care is solitude. that time, alone time that I have, whether it's an hour or 2 hours on the weekend where I'm not doing anything with the kids, sometimes that's self-care. And sometimes self-care for me is spending time with the kids, right? It's also spending time with them, having that fun time with them. We're doing something fun together. That's also self-care. So at this stage of my life, self-care doesn't always look like massage. Self-care is just me doing something that I cherish, whether it's that alone time or
Yeah.
whether it's time with the kids. As long as I feel like I'm being recharged, I'm reflecting. Sometimes my quiet time is about reflecting. I feel like I'm being nurtured, whether it's spiritually or whether it's just with having fun with the kids and just quality time with family. That's what self
Yeah.
care looks like for me at this stage of my life.
Yeah. And self-care is different for everyone. And like you said, at every stage of life, it's different as well. I know a lot of young mothers, and I tell them, listen, it's imperative that when you put your baby down for a nap, you take a nap, even if it's for 30 minutes. It will rejuvenate you. It will make all the difference. But if you put your baby down for a nap and then you start washing dishes and cooking and washing clothes, you'll be exhausted. You'll never get the rest that you need, which is quite rare anyway when you have a baby. But yeah, self care is different for everyone. And it's good to know that your self care is solitude. Solitude is super important. So let's switch
I
gears.
was gonna add. I was gonna add to that. I mean, now that I'm in the office 5 days a week, self
Oh,
care sometimes
girl.
looks like come home and I just tell my kids I need an hour and I need
Yes.
to just put my down for an hour. And once I'm done with that hour, I'm rejuvenated. I can go down and make dinner and do whatever,
Yeah.
do homework. Just that having that 1 hour after work to just be still and be alone and close my eyes. I may not sleep, but sometimes it's just close my eyes for an
Yeah.
hour. It
That
does
makes it.
wonder.
Yeah, that makes a difference. And you're back in the office 5 days a week. That in and of itself is an adjustment. So you definitely need self-care after you get off work.
Definitely, definitely.
Um, so let's switch gears. You've been featured in the US Journal for advocating a new year, new mindset approach. I love that. We don't have a lot of time to talk about it because we only have about 3 more minutes. But what I wanted to ask is, and let my listeners know that you've impacted so many women globally through your profession as a public health expert and through your publications, your speaking, your coaching. What or where do you see yourself, 5 years from now, Dr. Adebola? Are you going to still be an epidemiologist? Are you going to be impacting even more women? Are you going to be coaching even more women? Where do you see yourself?
But yeah, I do see Empire Initiatives growing, but I also see myself continue to be an epidemiologist and continue to um, impact in that public health space. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes. Okay, that's great. It sounds like
Oh, it was going in and out.
you're going to still be really busy, Dr. Uh,
Yes,
Ajayo. You're going to
yes. We don't stop. When you love what you do and you know it's your calling, you're all in.
Yeah, so true. Well, that's the end of the show, Dr. Adebola. I do want you to give your website one more time before we wrap it up. Tell our listeners where they can find you.
So my website is www.empireinitiatives.net. You can find me on Instagram at Dr. Adebola Ajao. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Adebola Ajao. Just put in my name. It pops right up. It's pretty unique name, so I think it's easy to find.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being a guest, folks. I hope you take the information we provided today and use it to advance your grit, your grace, and your leadership, like Dr. Adebola. You can hear this show on SiriusXM Radio Channel 141 on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, as well as on AM 1010 The King in Atlanta on Tuesdays at 8 a.m. and KCAA 1050 AM and 106.5 FM on Sundays at 8 a.m. and Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific time. You can also hear Skin Deep on iTunes, Spotify, and all the streaming platforms. And check me out at Sharon_Morton on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks again for tuning in on all things that are skin deep.